Okay, in today's session, we are going to see the compound probability or combination of events using two different rules, especially the addition rule for OR and the multiplication rule for AND. Okay, under each of this rule, we have special addition rule and we have general addition rule, which depends on the type of event. As I told you last time, mutually exclusive events which are not dependent on each other. Okay, that means only one can occur from the given events, and especially it is for multiple events. Similarly, for multiplication rule, also under AND, we are going to do special multiplication rule and general multiplication rule. Now let us look at the Venn diagram for your NOT, AND and OR. Okay, this is how it looks like. Here we have two events. The first one is where we have NOT E. So if the circle represents the event E, the other part, okay, in the square represents NOT E. Similarly, if we have two different events A and B, okay, the intersection of these two events will give me A and B, okay, where things are common between the two sets or the two events. And the third one is your OR, where it includes A, B and the common. So we are considering all these three part of the event. Okay, let us take some example and then we'll move on to the rules. Now we have already taken an example where there were two events and we were using AND there. Okay, so the first event is that B picking a card of hearts. So what is the probability that I'll pick up a card of heart? Anyone?
13 by 52.
13 by 52, which can be reduced further. Okay, so when we are writing this equation or the formula, the first part will be for B, that is 13 by 52. And then comes picking a king. What is the probability here?
4 by 52.
4 by 52. Okay. Now, if I put an AND in between B and C, these two equations will change. How it will be? Now, please remember, even in hearts, the 13 by 52 which we have, one of the card is the king of hearts, isn't it? When we consider four kings, one of the king is of hearts. Okay, so should it be 13 by 52 or 12 by 52? In the final equation, I want to say. So when I'm writing it down, it will be 1 by 4. Okay, I am converting this, multiplied by 1 by 13. Okay, this is your multiplication rule. But if I change this to OR, then we have to think about the king, the king with the heart, and we have to subtract it from the previous total number of hearts. That is event B. Okay, so in this example, your B will be 1 by 4, clear? Multiplied by 1 by 13, which will give me 1 by 52. Clear? And if you look at the full pack of cards, immediately you can say there is only one heart of king. Okay, so you can also directly write the answer as 1 by 52 as well. Okay, but the problems won't be so easy. Okay, you'll try to give a complicated one. So in that case, you have to find the probability for the first event multiplied by, especially when you're using the ampersand or the AND sign, multiplied by the probability for the second event. Okay, let's take one more. Now this is the example which I was telling you. If I'm using OR, okay, here you can see we have four kings. Okay, and how many heart cards we have? If I exclude this, because I have already included this heart of king here on top. Okay, that's why I have not considered the king in my number of heart cards. Okay, for this, the formula will give you 4 by 52, that is for the kings, plus 13 by 52 minus 1 by 52. 1 by 52 represents your king of hearts. Okay. And finally, the answer will be 16 by 52. This can, if you want, you can go ahead and reduce this further. Any doubts in this case? So when I'm using the AND, we have to perform the multiplication. Okay. And when we are using OR, we have to perform addition. Plus, don't forget, if there is something common. Now, this is a common part between both the events. Okay. Number of kings, you know that is 4, but one of them is a heart of king, and that is the reason why we have given minus 1 by 52 here. We could have also written here 4 by 52 plus 12 by 52. Even that is possible. Okay, so you directly subtract 1 from the total number of cards, 13, and use 12 instead of 13. Let us go ahead. Okay, this is my next one. Now, C represents face cards and D represents heart cards. Okay, how many face cards we have, which is face card, hearts? 3. So the first case we have 3 by 13 multiplied by 1 by 4. Clear? Or directly you can make use of the answer 3 by 52. And if you look at the events we are using, and where both the events are occurring. Any doubts in this one? This is again a simple one. Yes, anyone?
No, sir.
No. Okay, let's go ahead. Now you can give me the answer for the next one. I hope I have not given. Okay, what is mutually exclusive? This I have already told you. When 2 or more events are said to be mutually exclusive, when at most one of them can occur when the experiment is performed. Okay, and if 2 of them have no outcomes in common, both are 2 different events and nothing in common, then we say it is mutually exclusive events. Now this is the Venn diagram for your 2 mutually exclusive events. A, separate, there is nothing in common between both of them. There's nothing to explain further in this. I hope the diagram makes it very clear. Now, coming to 2 mutually exclusive events and non-mutually exclusive event. In the Venn diagram form, you'll find that there's nothing common here, and the common part is given here, the common outcomes between A and B, 2 events. And if I have 3 events, then again, the diagram speaks for itself. The first diagram A, where all the 3 events are separate, there's nothing in common between them. Now, this is your non-mutually exclusive event because it has something common between all the 3. Whereas in the last diagram, there are 2 events which is having something common between them. And the third event, there's nothing common. But still it is known as non-mutually exclusive events. Okay? Now, note down the special addition rule. Okay? Again, it's simple for your OR. If event A and event B are mutually exclusive, then we can write the formula will be P into bracket A or B, bracket close, equal to probability that A occurs plus the probability that B occurs. Okay. Now, if I have multiple events like A, B, C, D, and so on, okay, you have to just perform addition. So addition of all the probabilities of the events will give me the final answer. Okay. One more thing, the last statement which is given to you. For mutually exclusive events, the probability that at least one of the event occurs is equal to the sum of the individual probability. Okay, it makes sense here. Let's go ahead. Now this is, as I told you, we saw this diagram before also, non-mutually exclusive events where we have A, B and something in common. Now the things which are common can be written as A and B, okay? And the other two parts are A or B. And again, nothing to explain here. Note down the general addition rule. Now this is important. Now this we did in one of the examples when we tried to solve the kings of heart problem using OR. Okay, so if A and B are two events, then we can write probability of A or B equal to PA plus PB minus P into bracket A and B. So in other words, you can say for any two events, the probability that one or the other occurs equals to the sum of the individual probability less the probability that both occurs. Any doubts in this one?
No, sir.
No doubts. Fine. Let's go ahead. Now this is an example. Please tell me the answer. You can please keep your pen and paper handy so that you can solve it and tell me the answer for this. I've already given you the formula. So the probability that spade or face card occurs, two events are given to you. So PA plus PB minus P into bracket A and B. Anyone? Now, if you look at the number of spades, there'll be 13 spades. Okay. Plus, how many face cards we have?
16 by 52.
16 by 52. Okay. Anyone else with the same answer or different answer can speak up? Okay. What is this minus part? P, spade and face card. You can see this spade and face cards, 3. Okay. So this will be 13. Or how many this is? This 12, right? And this 13. You subtract this common part. The answer. So we have 1 by 4 plus 3 by 13. What is 3 here? We have reduced it. Huh? The total number of face cards are 12. 12 by 52 will give me 3. And there are minus 3. You can see this 3 cards here. In the whole bunch of cards, we have 3 spade cards, which is face cards. Okay. Any doubts in this one? There was an answer given. Is the answer clear? Okay, even I'll get a pen and paper. Just 1 minute, please. Yes, any doubts in this one?
Awesome.
Yeah. Please do the calculation and check for yourself if you have any doubts. I'll give you one more. Let's go ahead. Now this is the multiplication rule. Okay. The special multiplication rule, especially when we are using the AND. Okay. So if we have more than one event, whether it's A, B, C, or D, and which are independent, okay, we write P, A, and B, and C, and so on, equal to probability that A occurs multiplied by probability that B occurs, and so on. Okay. Now, there's a question given down here, and the answer is also mentioned. So there are three different events. When I flip a coin and a head occurs, okay, that event will be 1 by 2. Second one is draw a card and get an ace. Okay, that will be how many? How many aces we have? 4. 4 by 52. That will be reduced to 1 by 13. Okay, and the last one, when we throw a die and get a 1. As you know, there are 6 different outcomes. So 1 by 6. Multiply this. What's the answer? Anyone? Yes, guys, any answer for this simple multiplication? 1 by 2 multiplied by 1 by 13 multiplied by 1 by 6. There's something in the chat. Okay, the answer is coming to 0.0064. Okay, you have gone up to decimal places. And if you want to write it in fraction, it's coming to 1 by 156. Yeah.
156.
Clear? Right, let's go ahead. Take another example. Now, there's something called conditional probability. Okay, for your non-independent events. That means the event depends on each other. Okay, it has to be written in a different form now. Now we can write the probability of B given A. So we have P into bracket B, and we put a or sign, or you can see, you can put a slash or front or a line. Okay, and it is read as the probability of B given A has occurred. The probability that B occurs given that the event has already occurred, please remember, is called a conditional probability. Okay. So what is the given event here? A is your given event. That means A has occurred, already occurred. So what is the probability that B will occur in a way? How you write this? This is my table which I am using it. So we are going to use this and see some examples. For that, note down this table, please. This is known as your contingency table or joint probability. Okay. So we'll take an example like this. Now I can use either frequency or I can use probability to get a contingency table and then solve the problem. Okay. So let us quickly go to one of the problems. Now this is one of the problems which we'll be using. So we are using frequency here. We have a table for age and the rank of faculty members. Okay. Please note down the figures because I'll be asking you questions on this. So under 30 is considered as A1 here. Under 30 and professor, full professor. Was the frequency 2. Okay. In each column, you will find the last row here is giving you the total for the professors, full professor, associate professors, assistant professors, and your instructors. Similarly, for age also, they have given the total. And this is my final total. 1164 is my grand total. Okay. If you have taken down this, I'll go to the next slide. Or you can also take a screenshot if you want. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Note down the formula first. For any conditional probability rule, okay, if A and B are your two events, then the formula for P or probability of B, if A is already occurred, okay, A is written next. That means we have to find the probability of B provided that A is already occurred. So the condition is A should occur first. Okay. Which is the event occurring here? A, which is written down, which is given as P P into bracket A and B divided by PA. So when you are reading in words, it is conditional probability that one event occurs given that the other event has occurred equals the joint probability of the two events divided by probability of the given event. Okay, if you have noted down this formula, let us go ahead. Now, this is my table again. Fine, you can refer to this table while giving the answers. The first one, please go through it. Probability R3 and we have A4. So A4 is already occurred, please remember. So look at the column R3 and A4. We have 36 here. Okay. Immediately I put 36 divided by, now this is my A4 because A4 is here, this one. Okay, what is the total given here? 253, which will give me the probability 0.142. Okay. Now, if you're using this contingency table, it becomes easy for you to find the answers. Next one, A4. Now here we have just changed the sequence. So what is the probability that A4 is going to occur provided R3 is already occurred? Now again, the value is 36. So we have A4 here and this A3 36. But this time for R3, I'm going to take this total 320. Okay. So 36 divided by 320 is going to give me 0.112. That will be the probability for this particular problem. Yes, guys, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I tell you to find out the probability, can you find out? Now from the given table only. Okay.
Yes.
Find out probability that R4 occurs given A2 is already occurred. So R4, put a line and A2.
Seventeen by 402.
17 by 402.
0.042.
0.042. Right. One more and then we'll go ahead. Now, what is the probability that A5 occurs given R3 is already occurred?
.009.
0.009. Okay. Right. There's some answers in the chat as well. Let's refer to them. Okay. Great. Fine. I think you have understood this. This is very simple. Let's go ahead. Okay. Now, instead of the frequency table, we are using the proportions now. Something in the chat. Okay. Fine. So this is my probabilities instead of frequency. And if I use the same one, the previous one, check whether you are getting the same answers. So for the first one, which I told you, P R4 Okay. Given that A2 is occurred. Look at the values. So whether we are using probabilities or we are using frequency, the answers will come the same. Please check it out. So check it out for the first one, the one which we did in the previous one. So if I take the same examples again, okay, you can see this for R3A4, R3A4, we have 0.031, okay, and for A4 the total, you can see for A4 the total 0.217, which is coming to the same answer which we got in the previous example as well, but that time we had used frequency. Similarly for the next also it will get the same thing. If you compare both the answers will be same. And you can see also the total will also always be 1, the grand total. Okay, let's go ahead. Now this is one table of marital status and the gender using the proportions, that is your probabilities. Okay, please note down this, and then some questions will come. Please try to solve it. Some answers will be already given to you, and I'll ask you some questions. So we have single, married, widowed, and divorced. We have last 10 minutes left. Okay, have you taken down this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are going to do this. Same formula is given to you up. But I have asked you the question in this, there's no questions. Okay. I'll ask you the question, please do it. I'll show you this slide. Okay. The probability that M3 occurs, or the event M3, given S2. M3, S2. So P into bracket M3 and S2.
0.109.
0.109. Okay. So we have 0. Just 1 minute. Let me check it out myself as well. Any other answers? Okay. 0.109. Right. One more. Let us take the other way around. Okay. Probability that S1 will occur given M4. So P into bracket S1 given M4.
0.083.
0.421.
Okay, two different answers. Then that means I have to do it and check it out. For S1 M4, there's
0.421, sir.
Okay. Divided by
0.42, sir.
0.421.
421.
0.42.
So 0.04 divided by 0.95. Yeah, 0.042.
0.0.
Okay. Understood? I think 2 examples are more than enough. Great. In chats also, I'm getting some answers. Good. Let's go ahead. Okay. The general multiplication rule, please note this down. Now if A and B are the 2 given events, then P into bracket A and B can also be given. So it can be written as PA multiplied by P into bracket B line A, given that A has occurred. So in other words, we can say that joint probability equals to the probability that one of the event occurs multiplied by the conditional probability of the other event given that event. Sounds very confusing, but this is one of the rules for multiplication. So if you get any problem related to this particular formula, please make use of this. Sometimes what happens is they give you the second part. They are not going to give you simple, straightforward questions. Okay. So you might have to make use of the conditional probability as well. So make use of the conditional probability formula to find out the answer. Even that is possible. Depending on the situation or depending on the question, you will decide which formula to use. Okay, let's go. Note down this, please. So the events are independent. If the events are independent, then we have P into bracket A and B equal to PA into PB. And in case of if the events are not independent, we are supposed to make use of the contingency table. And if there are very less number of events, like in the previous examples, we had many events like R1, R2, R3, and so on. And then we had A1, A2, and so on, right? So if you have many events, then making a contingency table is advisable. If it is just 2 events, then it becomes easy. You can just do in a rough work and find the answer for the given problem. Let's go ahead. Let's see what it is. Now, note down this as well. For B, for independent events especially. So event B is said to be independent of event A if the occurrence of event A does not affect the probability that event B occurs. So if A and B are independent events, then your probability of B, given that A has occurred, will be written just as PB, nothing else, because it is not depending on A. Okay. So whether A occurs or not occurs, it hardly matters. Okay. So what will happen is, while giving you the problem, they might use the words like independent, dependent, and so on. Okay. So you have to make up or make your mind which formula to use, and then take the right formula and solve the problem. Now this is a class given to you. And we have, no, exactly, I am not sure what this FR, SO, JU, and SE indicates. Okay, male, female, and these are the classes. Now, which classes? God knows. Okay, they have picked up a formula. The table. Now, looking at this table, if I tell you these 2 events are totally independent, okay, and we have to solve the problem. Now, in that case, what is going to happen if I say what is the probability, instead of for, let us say B is male, okay, and A is JU. So P into bracket male, okay, a line. The second event is JU. What will be the answer?
0.33. 0.33.
0.33. Okay. How you did it?
So for male and JU, it's 50, and for JU, total is 150. 50 by 150.
50 by 150. Okay. What is 150 here? What is
Total
150?
class strength.
Total class strength. Now, whether the total class strength matters. These are 2 independent events. If I say it is independent events, are you going to consider 150 or you're going to consider 180?
180.
Or, yes, tell me which one you will consider. 150 or 180?
180.
180. Because we are not depending on the class strength here. Okay. So that is the difference between dependent events and independent events. Clear? So this has to be 50 divided by 180. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Yeah,
No, sir.
fine. There's something in chat. Let me check it out. 0.77, that's 277. That's the right answer, right? Okay, Shweta, your answer is right. We'll stop here. We have I think 1 minute left. Next time when we come, we are going to go further, and there is only some few examples more left on probability, and then we can start